Greetings. Welcome to NASCAR America Debrief. Nate Ryan here with Dale Jarrett, Steve Letarte here on the NBC Motorsports YouTube channel. We're taking your phone calls left over from NASCAR America Motor Mouths, also taking your comments and questions on the YouTube, the chat box that you see. You're watching us there. Look to the right of that on the little chat box there. I'll be monitoring that for questions and comments during the program.
That's not your computer?
And
are you using both?
I can't operate one, much less.
I'm also launching a space shuttle now.
Okay, all right.
All right, but we're going to get started. We're going to go to the phones first here on NASCAR America Debrief and start with Paul. Paul, welcome to the program.
Hi. I got a question. When is Hendrick going to give Jimmie Johnson some decent cars to drive?
All right, I'm going to jump on this
Paul.
one. Here you go, Paul.
Hey, by the way, I don't know if you could tell, this is Maynard.
Oh, yeah, that's my guy.
This is
That's
your
my
guy.
guy. Sounds like he's from, I don't know, Sanford. He's got I like my guy up there. Okay, so here's the deal, Paul. Does Hendrick Motorsports need to provide Jimmie Johnson better race cars? They do, and they need to all four of their drivers. But I feel very confident that Jimmie Johnson's cars from the factory, from the team, are as good as William Byron's, as good as Chase Elliott's, as good as Alex Bowman's. So I'm going to put the pressure squarely on Kevin Meendering and Jimmie Johnson to get him back up for the lead Hendrick driver. Simply put, DJ, I've looked at this in my entire career. Whatever the driver I have, you're competing in two groups. You're competing in the entire Cup Series, and you're competing against your teammates. And right now, Jimmie Johnson is third, if not fourth, week in and week out of the Hendrick cars. So while I appreciate what Paul said, until Jimmie Johnson starts leading the way within his company, he's not going to have a huge voice within the company to, versus, say, Chase Elliott.
Yeah, there's some work to be done there. There's no doubt about that. But I can't disagree with what Steve said. They have to be able to outrun their teammates first and foremost. And it's not that he doesn't have good equipment, it's what they do with that equipment. So there's some work to be done there between driver, crew chief, and all the setups.
And listen, Jimmie Johnson has never run well in Xfinity. He has never run great with low power. We said this back in January. You and I had this conversation. Yeah. If you could design rules against Jimmie Johnson's style, they have done it. Right. This is not that. Now, I'm not saying he can't win, can't be great, can't be a champion. I'm just saying you got a little bit of a learning curve. This is not the same style of racing or power curve.
I mean, to that Xfinity point, Stevie, DJ, you said on Splash and Go a few months ago, and I tweeted it, and we got some derision from fans
about it. What do you guys know?
But you said that Jimmie might want to consider running more Xfinity races. Do you think his struggles through 15 races may be more indicative of maybe him trying something like that?
I think a couple wouldn't hurt. You can't ever quit learning as a driver because the sport's ever changing, and we see that drivers that we expect and the drivers that we see winning these races are ones that have competed in the Xfinity Series on a more regular basis and been in those cars.
And the
so
organizations.
I think it could be helpful. Yeah,
and your point, and I don't mean to take away from Jimmie Johnson.
Right.
I agree, but and the organizations, right?
Yes.
Like Gibbs and Penske run very well on Saturdays.
Yes, that's right.
And he's also got a crew chief who just came from the Xfinity Series, who probably knows a lot about it.
Come on, Kevin.
Interesting. Let's go to YouTube for a question. Staying on team struggles, Ty M4477 wants to know what's up with Roush Racing. Particularly at intermediate tracks, 1.5 miles to 2 miles, the cars don't seem to be that competitive. Do you guys have any thoughts?
So I hate to say this, but I was wrong Monday. I made the statement that I thought Roush Fenway hadn't gotten better. I went back and studied the notes a little bit more. I would say what's up with Roush Fenway Racing is their performance. I would say they have improved over last year when I look at where they run. It's hard to see because they're not running towards the front. They don't get a lot of focus, but I actually think they're running better. I think Ryan Newman is much more consistent than really any driver they've had in that car in multiple years. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did not back into a good run at Charlotte. He drove up there and ran well at a 1.5 mile track. So while it isn't the rate and probably any of us want to see it improved, definitely Roush Fenway, I would have to say it has gotten a little bit better than it has in the last couple of years.
It's hard to climb back up that ladder. And whenever Roush Fenway started losing drivers like Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth, when they started leaving there, they didn't have the leadership that it takes and the veteran leadership to continue that. And so they started falling down, and they haven't recovered from that. And they're not the powerful organization that they once once were. Do they put good equipment out there? They are much better, I believe, and giving their drivers an opportunity to run at a much higher rate in this. And Ryan Newman did an amazing job the other day in that, and I expect he and Stenhouse both to continue to show better performances.
Yeah, definitely some interesting parallels there. Roush and Ganassi to me, two-car teams that are like one's Chevy, one's Ford, and they're both kind of below that pecking order of the four-car teams on both sides.
People discount the value of a franchise driver.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking on the racetrack. Has nothing to do with on the racetrack. You go back to Hendrick Motorsports with Jeff Gordon, where Jeff Gordon, not only on the racetrack, but where he was so good was on Tuesday. When he'd come in and tell you, no, this is what we need our car to do. You want me to win? I need my car to do this. Okay. I'd look at Matt Kenseth at Roush. Then Matt Kenseth goes to Gibbs, and in my mind, delivered some Toyota equipment that Kyle Busch then took to a championship. Those drivers, Kurt Busch, those drivers that can help the company off the racetrack improve. Listen, I know there's a lot of technology, but I still need the guy in the seat to give me some direction.
Right.
And the great ones can
know what you have and don't have.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Yep. Speaking of Kurt Busch, I think we've got a phone call about that driver. We've got Clem on the phone. Clem, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hey, gentlemen. How you all doing? Just wanted to ask, with Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott being the top-performing Chevrolet drivers, who do y'all think will finish better in the standings at the end of the season?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a great question.
In February, that should have been easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think the natural reaction right now is to say Chase Elliott, of course. They're going to continue to get better. He's so talented. But you can't discount Kurt Busch at anything. The more that I think that he's knocked down, the better he is. He just gets up and he doesn't let things bother him. He goes and does his job. And he's just so very, very talented. And, right now, if I had to say, even though Chase has that win, I would have to say that Kurt Busch has probably been the most consistent Chevrolet driver throughout the season to this point. So if I'm going to look at it, I'm thinking if Ganassi, if they can continue to make their cars better and get a little bit of an uptick there, find a little bit more speed on a regular basis, then I'm going to go with Kurt Busch.
So I'm going to take it off the racetrack. I want to say Kurt Busch, but I think it's pretty well known it's a one-year deal. You would know that, right? It's a one-year deal.
One-year deal.
So I think if that conversation can happen and getting buttoned up for a second year, then I'm in the Kurt Busch camp. Mm-hmm. Even a professional race car driver gets distracted. I don't care what they say. They get distracted by conversations. So if they can't get, a contract conversation is going to distract him. So if you're Chip Ganassi, I would sign Kurt Busch. I've yet to see a reason not to.
Yeah.
I don't know the business model behind it, but I would sign Kurt Busch because if you do, I think he can be the leading Chevrolet.
I think we were talking yesterday, DJ, before Splash and Go. You feel as if the rules this year have sort of highlighted what a good driver Kurt Busch actually is.
Yes.
Like a lot of people look at these rules and think, oh, they diminish talent. But in the case of Kurt, I think it's showing, hey, he's still got that 2004 championship for him. He's that good.
Yes. Knowing when it's such a momentum race now and driving the cars and knowing when to use that and when not to. You don't think of Kurt Busch and think of patience a whole lot of times, but he is that when he needs to be. Right. And I think that he's shown that and he makes the most of situations. And he did a great job at Michigan on Monday of getting himself in a position to possibly win that race. But when you look at he and his brother Kyle, the one thing that they learned early on and that you could see from them, whether it was in the XFINITY Series in trucks or in the Cup Series, when you got to racetracks that required momentum, getting the car through the corner at the highest rate of speed, and that's what it's all about right now because that's your fastest part is going through the center of the corner at a higher rate of speed now, then those two drivers, Kurt and Kyle Busch, do a tremendous job in that, and that's showing up this year with Kyle's wins and Kurt doing a great job.
Right, no question. Let's go to YouTube. Justin Lehman wants to know. He's got a question for Steve. I'm going to turn around for DJ, too. He wants to know for Stevie, who is a modern driver you'd like to crew chief for? I think I know this answer, but...
So I'll always say, until Jimmie Johnson's not in a race car, he's going to be the one I'll always wish I would have got a shot for. There's two guys. Jimmie Johnson, because I'm sitting here because of Jimmie Johnson. He retired me and couldn't beat the guy. He was unbelievable. I saw the talent. I saw the equipment he was in, Chad. I'd love to have a chance, but the other one... is probably the most outspoken, most controversial, and I would take him 10 times out of 10 times, and that's Kyle Busch. I love dealing with talent. I love dealing with people that perhaps need to be coached along, and I think when I look at Kyle Busch, it's just raw talent. I think Kyle Busch, I would never doubt if he's getting the most out of my equipment. I would always doubt my equipment. You know, did I give him enough? And listen, maybe I should have been a football coach, but give me a thoroughbred that I got to get some reins on, and we'll figure it out, right? And he's that. I love it. I love his outspokenness, and I love what he does on the racetrack.
So naturally, I'm going to turn around for you. Which crew chief modern day would have liked to have had back in, say, the Robert Yates racing days?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. You think of what would be a perfect pairing, but I know that with my work through the years with Todd Parrott, who worked tirelessly, endlessly. I mean, you know, being in the wind tunnel from midnight to 8 a.m. countless times to make sure that our cars were better, and he gave me better cars than other people at certain tracks. So I look at that. Who is along those lines? And it would be Chad Knaus, certainly, no doubt. I mean, you know, and Jimmie Johnson was very appreciative of the years that they had and the championships, but Chad fits that mold to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, listen, anybody that raced against that 48 when they won 7 championships, if you don't want whatever the other half is, then you weren't watching. I mean, I'll take Jimmie just because he beat everybody, and he should take Chad because they beat everybody. So I like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the phones again for Ken. Ken, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Yes, I just got a couple quick things I'd like to say. NASCAR drivers are really good, and they know when they got a loose wheel. They know when the tire's going down. What do we need the competition yellow for? It makes no sense. And Haley, she was on the end. She had him. The guy came down on her.
So I'm going to go to a conversation you had with Denny Hamlin on Twitter I saw, which is absolute fact in my mind. There wasn't one on Sunday. There was one on Monday. Why is that? I don't think they can afford to have one on Sunday because there was potential weather moving in. There was a competition yellow on Sunday because why is it there? Because why not? Bunch the field back up, I think, is a good thing. And I do believe that I think they've gotten a little overboard with them.
Yes.
I think they originally were there for all the right reasons. There were some tracks we would go to. I would be in there politicking. Let's be clear. I would be in there NASCAR 7 a.m. Hey, we got to have a yellow, man. We can't run this thing. But when you go to Michigan, where tire wear was not an issue for the majority of the field, I don't think it was necessary. But if you're NASCAR, is it their decision to make, or do you make a blanket statement and say you should have one every time? I thought that's what we did until there wasn't one on Sunday.
Right. I think where fans struggle with it is NASCAR says, hey, we're doing this for competition reasons, which ostensibly really is safety. It's about giving teams a chance to check tire wear. Then you have a competition caution on lap 20 of this race Monday, and 6 teams don't change tires at all.
But they gave the team the chance.
Right.
Listen, I don't want the bureaucracy if you have to change your tires.
Right.
Stop on that. Right.
That's
you
the problem.
You have the chance to take them off if you want to look at them. Right. That's all. As a crew chief, I'm fine with that.
I think it should be later. I mean, as far as later in that first segment, that 20 laps isn't a good barometer if we're going to get something that's really going to happen. You know, I don't want to get it to the point. It is a safety issue. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have a problem, it's going to be somewhere after lap 30. So let's get up to lap 40 or something like that. Not just making it to where if everybody missed the setup or the track's totally different, that we're giving them a break there. That's not what the competition yellow should be about. Right. It's totally the safety side of it. And Goodyear could, if they can assure you that, hey, these tires, no matter what, I don't care what we've had happen, they can make it 40 laps. If you couldn't make it 40 laps, then your setup wasn't very good to begin with, and you should have to pay a penalty by coming down pit road.
And Denny's point was, he wants NASCAR to just come out and just lay all their cards on the table and say, look, we didn't have one Sunday because we knew there was a tight window for rain, and we wanted to get as many laps in as we possibly could under green to get to halfway or to get to stage 2. Denny actually advocates having competition cautions early in the race because he feels like races that start with too long of green flag runs typically don't unfold very well. And he thinks, why not just, call it what you want, call it a TV timeout. Let's have a caution mandated by NASCAR at lap 20 every race. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, Hamlin thinks it's a good idea.
Breaks for me.
Yeah.
We already have enough breaks for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I don't disagree with Denny. I don't disagree with what he's saying. But if you're asking my opinion, there's already too many breaks.
It's a good discussion point, though, to look at it. I think once again that this would be a question more for the fans, as to whether they would rather see that. If we're throwing out the safety side of it, if this is literally a competition caution, because so many people have missed the setup, we're going to give you a chance to change tires and make some adjustments.
So can I throw my pet peeve in here, though? If I hear all these people talking about how stages are manipulating sports.
Yeah.
but yet they're fine with a 2-minute warning in football, and they're fine with the under, I'm going to get it wrong, was it an NBA, under 8-minute, under 6-minute TV time? Right. They're there. They're there in every single sport, yet everybody's okay with it until now. So, sorry, I digress. That's my pet peeve.
That's fine.
If you don't like the stages, you should also be just irate when the 2-minute warning goes off.
Right.
Why'd we stop the clock?
That's fair. It's fair comparison. Another question from YouTube. We touched on this at the end of NASCAR America Motor Mouths. Some news today with Hendrick Motorsports. Nationwide announces they're going to leave the final year of their contract in 2020 with Alex Bowman, number 88 Chevrolet. Bowman is signed with Hendrick through 2020. The statement today from Hendrick was that, hey, he's having a breakout season. We feel good about his chances. We feel good about NASCAR's momentum. The question from YouTube is, who is this a bigger issue for losing Nationwide? Is it a bigger issue for Alex Bowman? Is it a bigger issue for the team? Or is it something that will just sort of take care of itself?
I don't know if it'll take care of itself, and I don't know if you can separate the two. Listen, the lifeblood of a race team is the financial opportunity to go race. And when a partner like Nationwide chooses to not be a part of it, the concern is, first, how do we replace those dollars and cents? But second, how do you convince other partners at Hendrick and at other teams that NASCAR is still where you want to be? Because Nationwide is a very upfront brand, right? You see that they used business to business, but they also used business to consumer marketing. They had commercial, you know what I mean? A lot of different things. So my concern is that when UPS was in, FedEx was in. When Home Depot was in, Lowe's was in, right? It's sectors. It's not just one company. So when Nationwide gets out, what's the ripple effect, right? So, I mean, you just hate to see a sponsor leave. They've been a great sponsor. They do great things. They've done great things with the Nationwide Children's Hospital. I've been fortunate enough to see it. And, you know, they're a great company, and just hate that they are leaving the sport.
As I look at this and think about it, I think it's probably Hendrick Motorsports is such a successful organization. They're gonna get sponsorship to keep these 4 cars and teams and drivers going. But is that possibly going to come from someone else out there bringing in a sponsor?
Someone else being a different driver.
A different driver.
Yeah.
I think it's a bigger issue for Alex Bowman, who's doing a tremendous job. I really appreciate and like what I've seen from him as a driver. I think he's very, very talented, making good decisions on the racetrack, just doing a great job. You would hate to see it end, or this opportunity end, at one of the best organizations in the sport because of sponsorship.
Because Bowman was in that rare situation where he got hired by a team that had a sponsor and had a ride just ready. You don't have to bring any money. Yeah. Here you go. And now it's sort of this interesting situation in NASCAR where when you have openings like that, if you can bring a sponsor with you, it kind of gives you an advantage.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how it works out for Alex Bowman and Hendrick. Back to the phones, our friend Marvin Blue, I believe. Welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hi, Nate. Greetings. Hi, Dale. And hi, Steve. How you guys doing tonight?
Greetings.
Great. Well.
Great.
Greetings.
Hey, guys. I love Father's Day, and me and my dad, we love watching NASCAR on Father's Day weekend. With that being said, what are some of your guys' favorite Father's Day moments in NASCAR?
Well, mine's easy. I
remember it happened at Michigan, right?
Mine happened in Michigan. Dale Jr. and I broke a long winless streak at Father's Day at Michigan. So, is Father's Day being off is odd to me.
Yeah, usually this is Michigan race weekend.
I want to make sure I didn't go crazy. Yeah. So mine's easy. Father's Day, we're going to Victory Lane. And more importantly, Victory Lane's always fun, and that's great and all, but the best part of the entire day was Dale had his then fiance, maybe girlfriend, I might get the timing wrong, now wife, Amy was there. I had my wife and both my children there. And I actually have that Victory Lane shot in my office, not because it was a special win as far as size or anything like that. It was just a moment that you couldn't recreate. It was great having everyone there.
Yeah. My dad was around, when my career was going on. He was we were at Michigan most of the time, and so having your father there to where you knew what you were going to do. This sport's been so good to the Jarrett family that it was just great to have those times. And I think maybe I won on Father's Day at some point in time, but still just having him there. Didn't have to win. It was just tremendous knowing that I was going to wake up and see my dad before I went and got in the car.
Yeah, that is cool, and it is too bad. Well, I guess NASCAR's got Iowa this weekend, so there is There will be some racing, but it's not quite like that Cup race at Michigan. Another question from YouTube from the NASCAR Jeff. I'm going to put your guys' Formula One knowledge to the test here.
Please tell me this is off that awful call that happened on Sunday.
Okay, so let's set the stage here. Montreal, Sebastian Vettel leading the race for F1 by 5 seconds over Lewis Hamilton. Gets a 5-second penalty because he veered off course, came back in.
Did you see this?
On the racing line.
So no, he didn't veer off course. He wrecked. He wrecked and saved it, and happened to save it in front of the guy trying to pass him. So look, I would never want to be a steward. I think overall they do a very nice job. They have them in IndyCar as well. Max Pappas and a few other people do it. I understand why they're there, open wheel. There's a lot of complication. That perhaps is one of the worst calls in motorsports I have ever seen.
Yeah, followed up on the Kentucky Derby, which I thought was a horrible call too. So I think both of them got it wrong, in my opinion. And
in general, just don't meddle. Involves the leader or a winner, right?
It's a competition, and you know there was nothing that was done wrong there.
No malice.
In my opinion, as a driver.
He was wrecking and happened to get in the way of the other guy. Like it's not like he was in his mirror driving it.
Right. Well, I think this goes back to the conversation we had yesterday, DJ, on Splash and Go about Logano's restart at Michigan. Why not put the onus on NASCAR and force the issue and say, you're not going to black flag me for going early if I'm the leader and I have the dominant car? I mean,
and you know what? Shame on those other three on the front two rows to think that he wasn't going to go a little.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you got at least, a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't make it so if he goes 3 car lengths before that, then NASCAR's probably going to do what they have to do. But he made it close enough that they couldn't make that call. So, and I was glad that they didn't.
Yeah. Taking a look there again at the restart and Joey Logano's win on Monday at Michigan. Mike,
I thought we were going to get away the whole time without Formula One. Now you can be fired up again.
Hey, blame the NASCAR Jeff. Mike is on the phone. Welcome to NASCAR America Debrief, Mike.
Hey, how are you guys today?
Great. Greetings.
My question is about road course racing because Sonoma's coming up. Wondering if you guys think we should get more road course races in there, like have ovals and road courses like what Charlotte did, or should Watkins Glen run the boot, etc.?
So I'll go that I think adding the roval was great, that 3's fair. I could stomach 4, no problem. A 4th, if we wanted to add a 4th. I will say that the roval was a great success. I don't want to discount it, but there are too many great road courses to convert these ovals. I applaud what Charlotte Motor Speedway did, right? Because they had a date, so they can do whatever they want with that date. But you're going to be hard-pressed to have me saying we should go to some road course at Texas or Pocono or so. There are too many just amazing. I mean, Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio,
Road Atlanta,
Austin,
Road America.
I mean, and there's so many good ones that my answer is yes, add 1 or 2, no problem. But let's go to. There are too many premier places to start making any more.
Right.
Well, street course you could get me on. One great town maybe.
I'll throw 2 more out at you. How about Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course? Any thoughts on that? Or do you only race the Brickyard? You only race the Oval if you go?
I'm only on the Brickyard there. I'm not a big fan of that road course.
How about Circuit of the Americas in Austin?
So I'll be the first to say I don't understand the layout well enough to say, but you can't run the full layout. So you get NASCAR road courses are really good when it's a 50-second to 1 minute 30-second lap. Any longer than that, where is it that Xfinity runs? Where it's like a
Road America.
Road America.
4.2 mile
so it's
course.
a great track, and they have a great crowd. But I don't think we get the quality of race we want because the track is too big.
Yeah.
I feel that's the same way of COTA. The little bit I know about it.
Yeah, I think Road America could provide some really good racing. We've seen stock cars there. I think something like
Road Atlanta.
Yeah, Road America also, and Road Atlanta would be good choices. I think in Austin, when you get into more of the street racing type, I think that's more difficult for the stock cars to perform on at a level like that. And I'm going to say no because Eddie Gossage is a good friend and really helps, and I know he doesn't want that happening down there.
Well, so I mean, I would say So I'm excited when whenever the schedule changes in years and years to come. There's something like Laguna Seca. Right? I've never been there in my life.
Yeah.
Why not?
Give it a shot.
Why not?
Yeah.
I think Eddie Gossage is still looking for his $25 million that Texas gave COTA for its F1 sanctioning fee. Back to the phones. I think we have one more caller, Scott. Scott, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hey, guys, you were talking about road courses, and no offense, Dale, because you've always been a class act for the sport. I'd pick on Kyle Petty, but this is an age discrimination question. The carousel is coming back to the road course here in 2 weeks. How will that change the show? Because it's been 20 years, and I know you raced on the carousel and then the shorter track. So how's that going to change the show in a couple of weeks with the carousel back at the road course?
Oh, it's going to change things for sure, and
for the better, right?
For the better by far.
Bravo.
Yes, I did not understood why some changes needed to be made for better viewing for the fans that were attending the road course there in Sonoma, and all of that. You know, it made good sense. But the racing side of it, it did not. This is going to be something you need to watch, must watch, and the drivers are going to really enjoy what they're going to see. And I don't think there's probably any one of the drivers that ever ran that.
No.
So
I think that's,
it's going to be all new to them.
I saw that stat that none of them have run the
Sonoma just it like yearned for a valuable left-hand corner.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds silly, right? 11, right. 1 doesn't matter. 2, 3 doesn't matter. Right-hander, right-hander. 10 is 9 is the only real left before you get like there's not a left-hander that really had value.
Yeah.
It needed it. Welcome to the carousel, because that baby's long and left and slippery.
Yeah.
And I went there one year with Jeff Gordon and learned that if you get off the carousel and hit the tires, you will get upside down in practice. Just side note.
And to explain to people, like, the reason that they took the carousel out, this was, I think it was 2000. It was about 20 years ago. The reason they took it out was because they wanted what they called a stadium-style road course.
Well, I think
they want everybody to be from the grandstands to be able to see it.
They improved the fan experience at Sonoma. And you got to remember, this is before the renaissance of road course racing came back.
That would be my point.
Sonoma was trying to hey, bravo. Sonoma said, we got to change. We got to make stuff happen.
Sure.
They changed. Well, now road course racing has this renaissance where they're like, you know what? We think that other track might have been better. We still have the pavement.
Yeah.
I like the changes. I think that change to tracks are good just because change is good.
Yeah. And I know we had a question a while ago about running the boot at Watkins Glen.
Right.
I don't think that, even though my dad and them did it back in the 60s, I don't think it would be good for the race now. I mean, I think what we have at Watkins Glen is
So there's a reason,
racing.
though. The same reason I like the carousel, so I'm going to go to the technical side. The reason is because if you put the boot in, then the turn 5 at Watkins Glen gets very invaluable. Because you come out of the horseshoe and you only got to make about a 60-degree and you go straight into the boot. That long sweeper is very hard to set up for. That long sustained right-hander. I know it's way in the weeds, but that's why I like the Glen course we run.
And that's more of a passing zone than you get.
Sets up the left.
And to me, that was the problem with the carousel going away at Sonoma. You took away the passing zones to bring more of a viewing experience for the fans there. But to your point, Stevie, I think you're right. The road course renaissance now, people look at road course races and say, hey, we'll give up the chance to be able to see the whole track if we know that there are more chances for guys to
Well, they could have put a passing zone if they put a gravel to driver left out of turn 4. Turn 7 would have really been an issue. Because they all just go off over there. But that's
they made
in
that.
the weeds.
And it actually, the boot actually, or the carousel actually sets up 2 passing opportunities and the way that it was then. But if you got off of there, well, then you drive back up to the top part and you had another passing opportunity there. So, it's so much fun. It's going to be great to watch.
I forgot how cool it was. And I watched the iRacing Series race last night on the carousel. And instantly I'm like, oh, I remember. This is going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah. Be looking forward to that in a couple of weeks. Sonoma, when NASCAR visits and runs the carousel again. Lots of great questions and comments. Thanks for all of them here on NASCAR America Debrief. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.